Hey guys, this is Lisa. I'm going to talk kind of fast right now because the point of today's VEDA that I want to make, because it's VEDA day 26, I just woke up from this dream and I really don't want to forget it. Um, and it's kind of fleeting right now. Like that poem that the guy started with Ichigumi, and he got up and came back from the door and forgot it. The uh, my brain is teeming right now. First of all, when quite a few years ago, at least like 4 or 5 years ago, if not longer, I had this dream where I was kind of in this futuristic type world, but nobody was complaining about their job. Nobody was asking why they had their job. They just accepted that was their job, and they accepted the government as it is. They didn't argue or anything. And I knew that the government was only one person, and that it was a man. But that's all I knew, and the whole dream was practically just me watching them do their jobs and not argue about it, and it was just like a world where nobody would think about what they were doing. They just accepted it as what they had to do. Um, but my brain was, I don't know, I guess my brain was like, you're not old enough to view the entirety of this dream, because that's all it gave me. That people didn't argue what they worked as, and they didn't argue the government, and it was a man. So last night, I don't even know why the dream returned, because I have forgotten about it completely. Um, but it was so detailed. Um, the it started off with this boy who was on I don't know, kind of Earth, um, but he crash landed um, the spaceship, and he was trying to get it to work again, but it was like he'd lived there for quite a long time. So he was like, oh, I don't really want to go back. But the people that were there where he'd landed, even though they'd become friends with him, were like, we don't want you here anymore, silently, and we're trying to get him to work. So the whole dream, like for a long time, just start off with him trying to figure out the spaceship and what was wrong and why he couldn't get it to lift off again. Um, and then he got it, but he was like, no, I want coffee for some reason. And it ended up returning in the dream. So now I know why he wanted coffee. But he stopped the spaceship completely from starting up and was like, no, I need coffee, like right now. So he got off the ship and went back to them and was like, I need coffee. And they were very confused, but they were like, okay, here's your coffee. Be careful, make sure you have this gauge on or something. So he took the coffee, he was very happy, went back to the spaceship, and I could tell he was anxious about something, but I didn't know what. So he was in the spaceship, had his coffee, started up, and it worked. And for like a minute, I just watched the spaceship going up and him in it and starting to float or something. Um, but then it shifted to the world that I dreamed about, and I could tell it was still a world that he'd been like in, but it wasn't really regarding him anymore. These alarms were going off, and this girl was racing down the halls, with kind of one of those hospital robe like things on, but she was in fighting gear, because she was a fighter with the F capitalized, because for some reason I know it was like an actual job that they had that where it was kind of like the Hunter Games. I'm sorry, I'm getting Hunger Games. Yeah, where like their job would be to fight. I'm so very ticked off right now because I just went through my entire dream and realized the camera just shut off on me. Ah, and I got so into it, and it's really aggravating. So I'm gonna try to start from where it stopped. Okay, there was this type of job that they were like fighters, and they would be studied while they were fighting, and it was like to promote better armor or to promote better fighting skills, that the studies would be done. But they were never ever supposed to report or argue a, an injury that they got outside of the arena. They were only supposed to like mark it in their job, and then nobody ever talked about it. They just went home and then came back the next day or the next month, whenever their commission was, and would fight. But this girl, this woman who was about, I don't know, she was in her 20s, who had blue-black hair. That's all I remember about her. And that she was a fighter. Oh my gosh, Buster's terrible. Anyway, she'd gotten hurt. Something had happened to her on her ribs or around her stomach area. It was either bruised or it was cut or it was bleeding. Something was wrong. And she had this robe on that was kind of like a hospital robe, but it was so that nobody saw. And she had burst out of the closing doors, which were kind of like the Walmart doors. I can't remember what they're called. I don't know. Electronic doors. Anyway, and as she did, like, I could tell it was bad. There was like low alarms or something. So she was trying to go to everyone and say something's wrong, and she would open her robe, and there would be the wound. But everybody kept ignoring her. Like, oh no, you shouldn't argue that or something, without telling her. But everybody else would either scan it and then freak out because they could tell something was wrong and they didn't want to be the person to argue it,